how, my thoughts on just how things wrap up with what type of a position the United States is in to do anything about gun violence, and what types of opportunities we're likely to have or likely to not have moving forward. And I think that, this number again, more than 6,000 children killed, hurt by gunfire in 2022, and we'll go over these numbers. I think above anything else, what this shows is that politically, this is why it's so important to always go big. You know what I'm saying? To always, get as much as you can on the docket, to not bend and fold just because somebody isn't 100% going with the flow with you. Fuck all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man. They pound you, you pound them back. That's why we can't be weak. Because once legislation passes, it's difficult to get things back up on the docket because there's so much going on at once, right? So like the gun reform, quote unquote, shit that passed last year that doesn't even raise the minimum age for owning these types of firearms to 21, that really barely does anything whatsoever. Politically, people can look back and say, especially people with the gun lobbies, well, we passed this legislation. And so, we see that this really doesn't work. And, those arguments can end up going a long way because there's still a lot of people who say, we know that the majority of people, want more common sense gun legislation. Like most people aren't going to think, well, if somebody's like totally out of their minds, they should be able to, own whatever type of firearm they want. We have numbers to back that up, but still there's a lot of people that you can just see anecdotally every day. We all see it, of people who are just like, no, we need more guns. I don't want to do anything about it because the next thing everybody's going to want to take your guns, even though ain't nobody fucking on the floor of Congress proposing a complete gun bill, a gun ban bill. I don't think we need a complete gun ban bill, and I don't think that that's even really ever feasible in this country anyway. However, common sense measures will go a very fucking long way. Making sure that dangerous people can't get their hands on fucking military grade weapons or handguns, period. Making sure they can't get them, making sure that people return weapons if they have them registered, making sure people's weapons are registered, making sure that people can't just go to big ass tents in the middle of the fucking country and buy whatever guns they want at gun shows. Like, stupid shit like that. That's completely avoidable, but again, none of that was included in the last in the last bill that was put forth that they paraded like, oh, Republicans and the Democrats came together across the aisle to pass a historic bill. Like, no, y'all didn't. Y'all didn't do anything, and you know it. So shut the fuck up. Like, these are the types of problems that are so unnecessary. They're extreme. We're just used to it. What was it? Until, just from my pulse of where the nation was really focused, you know what I'm saying? Is until what was it, the Buffalo shootings in that super center, the hate crime, the racist attacks against, I think it was 9 or 11 elderly black people in that church, not the church. Well, that was a whole nother incident. There's so many damn incidents, I fucking can't even keep up with them. And again, it's stuff like this that in a nation that has so many resources that we just shouldn't be dealing with. And again, this type of stuff floats into pretty much every sector of society. Our education system really hasn't been updated since the late 1800s in terms of its structure of you go to grade school, then you go to high school, then you go to college. And as we know, the cost of living and especially the cost of universities, because they keep building all these amenities that motherfuckers don't need. They're cool, but more and more colleges are about like, oh, it's cool to be there, but it costs so much money. Doctors graduate, motherfuckers who, man, I know how many of you know people who go ahead and get you some coffee, Grandma Sunshine Dragon. We here to talk. We here to make solutions. You feel me? But it's just The problems that America has, whether it's our education system that doesn't really mold people to the modern job market or to where the job market's going, our healthcare system that's just unnecessarily expensive and complicated. Like every year you have to re-sign up. You know, if you don't have healthcare through a job that very few people are privileged to have, then if you have healthcare at all, you know, every year I have to re-sign up with these new options and new prices. Like, again, easily fixable. These things aren't complicated. These things aren't complicated. Or how we even within the Democrats in this last omnibus bill, there was a tax cut for elderly retirees. You know, as we continuously see things like the estate tax being cut, or the corporate tax rate being lowered, or just capital gains tax being easier to monetize on and utilize. And the argument still being, well, you can't tax the super wealthy or you shouldn't. But so the fuck what? If that was the case, then they wouldn't have spent billions of dollars over time to have their taxes lowered. You feel me? Or people be like, well, you know, there's still you have people in the media and still you have, you know, social media influencers who are like, it never works when you raise taxes on the wealthy because they'll just leave and they'll just have less incentive to create jobs, like as if we live in an aristocracy. It's like, oh, okay. You know, even though we have decades to suggest that you motherfuckers have purposefully made life easier for yourselves, because that's all it really is. You know, in this country, if you have a certain amount of capital, and especially if you got some fame, especially if you got fame with it, but either way, then you really get paid to be in a high social class in a lot of ways. You're able to own assets. You just off of your liquidity, you're able to purchase assets that can, you know, give you dividends. I mean, you literally can kick your feet up. I mean, obviously you have to keep shit going and keep shit running. You know, people are made to work. So for the most part, people really don't like doing nothing. But the wealthier you are in this country, the easier it is to make mistakes, not just because you have more to lose, but because you will literally be protected from losing anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck is it possible, for instance, for Southwest to have been as incompetent as they were? That's ridiculous. That's a lack of oversight, and that's just greed. Them not updating their systems, them being extremely far behind the pale. And then we see, I mean, look at what happened with in 2020, how much everything shut down, how disorganized everything is. And it's just a reflect of people's greed, you know, dismantling regulation, dismantling oversight, and just being able to fuck people. You know what I'm saying? Must be great. That shit must be great. But, you know, again, these types of things really are just ridiculous. The issues that we have, the solutions really are not complicated. But, you know, still too much power resides in the hands of the few.